It was a sunny afternoon, and the laughter of children filled the air. Rachel and her friends were playing hopscotch, their giggles echoing through the park. But then something happened that changed her smile into a frown. Her friend quickly said, "I'm so sorry." But Rachel looked away, her heart still hurt. Rachel's mom watched from a distance, her heart heavy as she saw the moment unfold. She walked over and sat beside Rachel, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "Rachel, do you know what Jesus says about forgiveness?" her mom asked softly. Rachel looked down, still unsure. So her mom decided to tell her a story from the Bible, about a boy named Joseph. It all began with a father named Jacob and his son Joseph, who had dreams unlike any other. Long ago in the land of Canaan lived a man named Jacob, who had 12 sons, but one of them was very special to him. His name was Joseph. Jacob loved Joseph more than all his other sons and gave him a beautiful coat of many colors. Joseph's brothers were filled with jealousy. They could not speak kindly to him. Then one night, Joseph had a strange dream. He dreamed that their bundles of grain bowed down to his, and when Joseph told his brothers, they hated him even more. Later, he had another dream, and even the sun, moon, and stars bowed to him. This time, even his father was concerned. "Shall I and your mother and brothers bow to you?" One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers who were tending the flocks far away. But when the brothers saw him coming, they made a terrible plan. They said,
"Let's kill him, then we'll see what becomes of his dreams."
But Reuben, the eldest, had a different plan. He said, "Let's not kill him. Just throw him in a pit." So when Joseph arrived, they ripped off his robe and threw him into the pit. Later, they saw a caravan of traders passing by, and they sold Joseph as a slave. They dipped his robe in goat's blood and showed it to their father. Jacob wept for many days, heartbroken over the son he believed was dead. Meanwhile, Joseph was taken to Egypt, where he was sold to Potiphar, captain of the Pharaoh's guard. Joseph worked hard, and God was with him. Potiphar trusted him with everything. But Potiphar's wife desired Joseph and tried to tempt him. He refused and ran away, but she falsely accused him, and he was thrown in prison. Joseph remained faithful in prison. The Lord was with him, and soon he was placed in charge of all the prisoners. Then, one night, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker were thrown into prison. They had offended the king. One night, they both had dreams and were deeply troubled. "Why are you so sad?" Joseph asked. They told him of their dreams, and he listened carefully. The cupbearer said, "In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. It budded and blossomed, and clusters of grapes grew. I took the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup." Joseph smiled and said, "This is what it means. The 3 branches are 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift your head and restore you to your position." Then the baker told his dream. He said, "I had 3 baskets of bread on my head. In the top basket were baked goods for Pharaoh, but birds came and ate from it." Joseph spoke solemnly. "The 3 baskets are 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh." And it happened just as Joseph said. On the 3rd day, the cupbearer was restored, but the baker was executed. But the cupbearer forgot Joseph. 2 years later, Pharaoh had a dream. He stood by the Nile and saw 7 fat cows come out of the river. Then 7 thin, sickly cows came out and devoured the fat ones. He awoke, then fell asleep again, and dreamed of 7 ears of grain, full and golden. Then 7 thin and scorched ears sprang up and swallowed the healthy ones. Pharaoh awoke, but no one could tell him what the dreams meant. Then the cupbearer remembered. Thoughtful, there was a man in prison who told me the truth. Joseph was brought out, shaved and dressed in fine linen. Pharaoh said, "I have heard that you can interpret dreams." Joseph replied, "I cannot, But God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Pharaoh repeated his dream to Joseph: the fat cows, the thin cows, the full grain and the scorched grain. Joseph listened and said, "The two dreams mean the same thing. God has revealed what he is about to do." "There will be 7 years of great abundance throughout the land of Egypt," Joseph said. "But after that will come 7 years of famine so severe, the abundance will be forgotten. Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to store grain during the years of plenty, so Egypt will survive the famine." Pharaoh said, "Can we find anyone like this man? One in whom is the Spirit of God?" And Pharaoh placed his ring on Joseph's hand, dressed him in fine linen, and set him over all Egypt. Joseph rode through the land, and the people of Egypt bowed before him. The famine spread far and wide, and Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain. When they arrived, they bowed before Joseph just as he had dreamed years before, but they did not recognize him. Joseph recognized them instantly, but kept his identity hidden. He accused them of being spies and demanded they bring their youngest brother to prove their story. He held Simeon in prison and sent the rest back, with sacks of grain and silver secretly returned in their bags. When they returned home and found the silver, they were terrified. Jacob refused to send Benjamin, but when the grain ran out again, he had no choice. When Joseph saw Benjamin, he was overwhelmed with emotion and wept in secret. Still keeping his identity hidden, Joseph tested them again, placing his silver cup in Benjamin's sack. Later, Joseph's men stopped them, and the cup was discovered. The brothers tore their clothes in grief and returned to plead for Benjamin's life. Then, Joseph could no longer hold back. He cried, "I am Joseph, your brother." His brothers were speechless, but Joseph wept and embraced them. Joseph said, "Do not be angry with yourselves. What you meant for evil, God meant for good." And Joseph sent them back to bring his father and their families. When Jacob heard that Joseph was alive, his heart nearly stopped. But when he saw the wagons, he believed. Jacob said, "I will go and see him before I die." And so Jacob and all his family traveled to Egypt. Joseph rode out in his royal chariot and wept as he saw his father again. They embraced and wept for a long time. And Pharaoh welcomed Joseph's family and gave them the land of Goshen, the best in Egypt. Joseph's sons were born in Egypt, Manasseh and Ephraim, whom he raised to know the Lord. Years passed, and Jacob blessed his sons and grandsons before he died. Joseph lived many years in Egypt, never forgetting who he was, or the God who had never forgotten him. And in all of Joseph's life, God's plan had never failed. As her mum finished the story, Rachel sat silently. Her heart stirred with something new. She thought about Joseph, how he forgave the brothers who betrayed him, and in her heart she knew it was time to forgive too. She stood up and walked back to her friend. With a soft voice, she said, "I forgive you." They smiled and ran off to play again. Later that evening, Rachel knelt by her bed and whispered a prayer. "Dear Jesus, help me to forgive like you. Help me grow stronger in you every day." And in that quiet moment, Rachel knew she wasn't alone. Joseph's life was filled with pain, betrayal, and heartbreak, but he never stopped trusting in God. And when others wronged him, Joseph chose to forgive. Because what people meant for evil, God used for good. And God's plan for your life is still unfolding, even when you can't see it. Choose to forgive, trust God's plan, and walk with Him every day. Thanks for watching this story from Little Sparks of Faith. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and share it with someone you love. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss what's coming next.